There we are. I hear you. I see you.
How you doing?
Good, good, man. Right on.
It's great to finally see you in person. I mean, I've been following your work for quite some time, and I'm absolutely impressed. Hi, Jenny. Is that Jenny?
Yes, it's me, Arthur. How are you doing?
Hi, nice to meet you. Pleasure to meet you as well.
Lovely to meet you.
So
I'm
I'm
going to let you go straight into it with Hazen. You've got 15 minutes.
great, great. So I'm doing this from my car because I'm actually in motion. So bear with me, okay? Bear with me. All right.
No worries.
First
I'm
and
like
foremost,
that
thank
sometimes.
you very much. Thank you very much. So first, which destination has given you the most sense of awe and challenge? Like you've been around the world. What destination have you been that's giving you that sense of awe and this has been an immense challenge for me?
Well, of course, what's recent in my memory, and is this latest expedition, this latest trek through the Great Rift Valley. Now, I've been getting beat up in the wilds since I was 19 at least. So it's been a lifestyle. I'm pretty conditioned to a lot of things, but all of these places bring their own challenges. If you've seen some of the previous episodes, when we're in the Amazon, you're looking at severe floods, constant mud, leeches, bugs, that sort of thing. But then when I was in Africa, quite the opposite. When you're thinking about just intense heat, droughts that
Mhm.
have lasted for a decade, just inescapable sun, dry, hard. It was a very different feeling. But then being able to see, being in such a harsh landscape, but seeing how people have adapted and found ways to thrive is, well, that's, for me, that's kind of why I'm there, is just seeing how they're able to do it and to see the wildlife all along the way.
Cool. So let me ask you this: what would you think would happen to the ecosystems that share the Rift Valley? What do you think they would be like if the Rift Valley didn't exist along these continents?
Well, I think when we tried to make the final pinnacle, the why, what am I working this hard to finally eventually see? I mean, possibly for a film, they need to see where I need to go. But for me, it's not about the destination; it's about the journey, and that's the way it's been. And it this trek has been 2 years, and an expedition like this to try to make this program has been well over 2 years in the making. So there's been a tremendous amount of research. Where should we go in all of Africa, all around the world, even? And we finally wound up choosing the Great Rift Valley and trying to plan it. You can plan it as endlessly plan it, but it's a proper adventure. You're going to come across new things, and there's going to be snafus all along the way. And is it going to be something that we're going to be able to incorporate in the film? And I think that's why it was a total adventure. We chose the Great Rift Valley because it has a tremendous amount of diversity, not only in the tribes, because we were running across over, when I walked hundreds of miles in those 4 months, I came across well over 30 different language groups. So there's a tremendous amount of diversity of cultures. Each one of those, the diversity in landscapes, and there are people that are living off of that landscape that require different lifestyles. Some of them are pastoralists. They rely on only camels because it's so intense. Cows can't live there, sheep can't live there. And then you have other pastoralists like the Maasai. You have the Gabra, which are more with goats. But then you also have hunters and gatherers like the Hadza. You have fishermen like the Mijikinda. You have all these groups. So you have this tremendous diversity and colors of people, wardrobe, song, dance. But then also each one of these landscapes, they have this they have to contend and live with and thrive and appreciate all the different kinds of plant life and wildlife that is unique to where these people live. And that's, I guess, it's what I'm passionate about, and I was living it.
Yes, you did. Yes, you did. Let me ask you this. What is the greatest threat to the Rift Valley? Because I mean, the things that you saw in the Rift Valley today, I bet you 50 years from now, some of them may not exist any longer.
Right.
And that's, the peoples, the habitats, the animals. What is the greatest threat, contributing threat to the existence of any of the ecosystems in the Rift Valley?
Well, I will have to say it's becoming, there were a lot of places where the populations are just increasing so much, human population. You look at Kenya, where I think for the last 30 years, 50% of the population still remains under 18 years old. And there's been miracles as far as modern medicine, as far as vaccines for their animals. And I think it was quite uncommon. A lot of these people just live such demanding lifestyles that they may have had 10 children, for example, but 3 of them survived to childhood. I mean, that's just the reality. It's just so incredibly harsh. But now with advancements in medicine, all 10 of their children are surviving to adulthood, which is a wonderful thing. But the impact, though, of just their population quadrupling, and well, it's exponential growth. So there were a lot of places that I had to cross through that 50 years ago would have been lush grassland with even hunters and gatherers living off the land, tremendous amount of landscape, and it essentially got turned into what I looked at was like a clay baseball pitch, just nothing but clay, and people are still living off of it, but animals are emaciated, and a lot of this is just because of this unprecedented drought that they're having up there. And whether that's due to climate change, I'm not sure, but I definitely saw the impacts of way more people living off of the landscape than what's ever happened in human history.
Let me talk to you about some of these changes. The Mai Mahiu fault lines that have recently appeared in parts of Kenya.
Say that again. I missed you for the last 30 seconds there. Fault lines.
The fault lines that recently appeared, that's cracking into, some parts of Kenya now and so on. How do you think that's going to impact the overall architecture of what the Rift Valley could metamorphose into? Do you think new lifestyles, new diversities will spring up? What are your thoughts?
I think so. Yes, with all this diversity of cultures and lifestyle, that's all based out of necessity and the human's ability to adapt. If there, we can't stop continental drift, and so the Great Rift Valley is becoming a larger and larger valley. It's getting deeper. It's getting wider. Is that going to bring in more huge bodies of water? Like I was in Lake Baringo and Lake Turkana. Those are tremendously huge bodies of water. Are the lakes going to get bigger? They're amazingly, a lot of these places have not rained in years, yet their lakes are getting bigger. Scientists are wondering, how is this happening? Yet, so shorelines are getting larger. What is that going to do? It's kind of an amazing planetary experiment. But yeah, we'll wait and see what happens. But everything in nature is not static. Everything is adapting. Everything is changing. And it's going to be neat for us to see. And we might be able to see all of these changes happen within our life.
I want to talk about the show now itself. How does one prepare one's mind for such, an adventure? Like if a pedestrian says, okay, today I want to go hiking, I want to do something extreme. How does one begin to prepare one's mind, one's body, and how do you just begin to trek into the Rift Valley from point A to point B?
I don't think anybody could just plop themselves down in there and go for it. I will say I'm pretty conditioned to it, and it's what I love. I mean, no matter how, a lot of people say how tough I am or whatever, that's not the case. We're all able to do this. It's just an amount of training and conditioning. But I might get beat up and bloody and all that sort of stuff. But I do have something that's a little bit peculiar. I guess if there is a superpower, which is not my survival skills, my superpower is just, I have this laser-like focus on wanting to see more wildlife and see more creepy crawlies. And that's just not for everybody, but that's the quintessential tool that I have in my bag of tricks to keep me going, because yeah, it's
Speaking about those creepy crawlies, I'm sorry I got a button like this. Were there any species that are only unique to the Rift Valley that you found? I mean, every unique place on Earth has unique ecosystems of
yeah.
a whole bunch of animals that you wouldn't find anywhere else. Did you find any of these at the Rift Valley?
Oh yeah. There's a number. Well, I mean, I think it first started with the Grevy zebra. So the Grevy zebras, there's only just a few different species of zebra, but the Grevies is really pretty unique. They require very, very dry, arid lands. They're adapted for that. They can go for 5 days without water, which a normal zebra cannot. They have, did I lose you? Are you there? Okay, here we are. Yeah. And, but the Grevy zebra has different racing stripes on it. And that was really in the episode number 1. You see that as that's my first animal that I never would have. I knew about them in books, but to see them in real life is a real something special for me. But then all along the way, there are certain insects that are endemic to certain regions, and it goes from fish to snakes to mammals, and seeing some of the different monkeys that are in trees that are only living in the mountains of Kenya, and able to see those in real life, that is something special.
So at any point in time while filming the show, man to man, were you in any form of real danger, like life-threatening danger at all? Maybe from predators, from the climate, from, whatever.
Oh yeah. I mean, there was the neat thing that I love about Africa is you're not always at the top of the food chain, which I kind of like. But I have an example. So I am very proud to say that I'm not the only one doing this adventure. There's this amazing team that puts this adventure together to be able to make it filmed so the world can see what I get to see. And like for example, one night we had one of our crew members had to go run and get some supplies, which was going to be a multi-day expedition, essentially, in a motorcycle over land. And on his way back, only about an hour away from our camp, finally at night, it was about the middle of the night, his motorcycle broke down and he was trying to fix it, and a hyena came. And he had to spend the night in a tree with the hyena sleeping under the tree, waiting for him to come down.
And that's Africa for you.
yeah. And it's unfortunate that part of the story doesn't make the film, but that's the sort of stuff that is required to make a film that's this true to nature. It was a proper expedition, no roads, all this sort of stuff. The film crew is along there with me, carrying generators being carried by camels, donkeys, whatever it would take.
Let me ask you this: for other outdoors, for your outdoor survival series, right, to make it to TV, I gotta ask you, what specific boxes do these areas have to tick for you to be interesting enough, for you to want to pay you to visit?
What do they have to? Well, there's what I really love to see is, I think places like the Great Rift Valley are becoming rarer and rarer. The world is becoming less and less wild for wildlife. And so this show is about going to the most isolated places on Earth. And the neat thing that has happened, I think ever since I started traveling like this when I was 19, I went there with the agenda of getting to the most remote wild jungle I could see, to see the most wildlife at once, to see the rarest wildlife. But as I was trying that and being naive and thinking that it's just about the wildlife, I soon realized that there are people that are living there too. And that is what has kind of shaped who I am, is being with people that are in the know, that live alongside these wild animals. And this is all around the world. People are incredibly adaptive. So they've gone to these far off corners and their numbers are not high enough. Their lifestyle has not changed from their natural existence to be able to affect the wildlife that much. And so this show is about those kind of places.
Okay, so lastly, because I gotta let you go now, How
Yeah.
does the Great Rift Valley of Africa measure up to its continental cousin, the Amazon forest?
Whew. It's a different world. It's amazing that you can have two contrasting places and they still live on this same planet. No, Africa is unique in all its own, but something that's makes Africa Africa are the African people. And it just with all these different language groups and tribes that I was in, every night there was song and dance and drumming and rhythm. And that was just something that if you didn't have that, it just wouldn't be Africa. It's not about the giraffes and the things that just make Africa stereotypical. It's about this amazing diversity of people. And then not only that, it's really unique in that it's an enormous landmass, this huge continent, but there's some commonality with African people. There's what I'm learning here in South Africa, Ubuntu. And I just think if there's something for the rest of the world to take with them that they can learn from Africa, let's start at that.
Indeed. Yes, indeed. Hazen, I got to say thank you very much for putting Africa on the map once again. Thank you to your team as well for putting themselves and their lives on the line to bring this amazing footage to the rest of the world. And take this Ubuntu message with you. And if you are going to start, exploring not so, unique forests, we have a bunch load of thick forestry in Nigeria. I'm officially inviting you. I'm an Igbo guy. We have several forests that are thick, rich in vegetation, and I'm sure you're going to love the things that you guys are going to find. Honest to God.
We're doing it. Let's do it.
All right. Thank you, Nat Wild. Thank you, Jenny.
Take care, you guys. Bye-bye.
Bye.